What if a girl is riding the bus? Little does she know, a stranger occupies the seat behind her, and suddenly, the man aggressively grabs her, causing her to tumble to the floor. Then another passenger tries to attack her. The driver saw it and stepped on the brake. She hurriedly gets off the bus and the man follows her. Welcome to What a Story. The story begins with a lakeside house, where a young woman named Brynn starts her day with nervous anticipation. She attends a miniature town display in her living room, and then sews a dress for a client. Once the dress was packaged, she stepped outside, futilely attempting to revive a patch of dead grass in her yard before heading to town. Along the way, she pauses by a house, hoping to capture the attention of a man she holds affection for, but he completely ignores her. In town, she discreetly places her packages into a mailbox, and pays a visit to her mother's grave, revealing Brynn's evident social anxiety. She hastily departs upon hearing nearby voices, even covertly circumventing her car to avoid an elderly couple on the street. Back home alone, Brynn writes a letter to a person named M, sharing her experiences of seeing her parents and expressing lingering regret over something that happened. Her excitement peaks when a package arrives, containing a new piece for her miniature town. She happily continues her daily activities, which include practicing dance, cooking, turning down phone calls, and eating on her porch. After completing her letter to Maud, who is Brynn's childhood best friend, she reads a book and goes to sleep. Later that night, all the house lights suddenly flicker on and off on their own, and a sound from outside wakes her up. An unknown animal appears to have disturbed her trash can, but she brushes it off and heads out of her room. She notices the lights won't turn on, and her front door is open. A shadow is seen walking around her living room, making strange noises. The creature suddenly runs away, prompting Brynn to carefully walk back upstairs, removing her shoes to make less noise. Unfortunately, the creature spots her. Fleeing to her room, she hides behind her bed as a lanky alien enters. The creature thoroughly explores Brynn's room, even hopping on the bed while she remains concealed underneath. Peering out, she observes the alien tiptoeing to the window, revealing its peculiar-looking toes and emitting strange sounds. Eventually, it seems to fly outside, prompting Brynn to close her window hastily. Upon hearing another noise downstairs, she cautiously sneaks out with a curling iron as her sole defense. Footsteps on the roof propel her to rush downstairs to secure her front door. Panic sets in as the electricity in her house starts to turn on, prompting her to switch everything off again before hurrying to the phone. Her plan is abruptly halted by her furniture moving on its own, seemingly controlled by telekinesis. After regaining composure, she cautiously inspects the hanging telephone, only to have it grabbed by the fingers of the alien, which then returns the phone to its original position. It detects Brynn's breathing and opens the refrigerator door right in front of her, then slowly peeks through the top. Brynn attempts to escape by pushing the fridge door, but the alien tears out the front door and strikes her. Crawling towards her miniature town, Brynn finds it also destroyed by the alien. The alien uses telekinesis to pull Brynn closer, unintentionally causing her to grab a piece of her miniature buildings, which accidentally stabs the alien's head. The alien dies face to face with Brynn, leaving her bewildered by the surreal experience. It collapses on her, and she flees, remaining frozen in place until daylight. Breaking out of shock, she checks her wounds and cautiously approaches the deceased alien. Confirming its demise, she covers its body with a blanket and attempts to call for help, only to discover that her phone has stopped working. In fact, all the electricity in her home has ceased. Despite her earnest attempts to reset it, her car remains non-functional. Unable to rely on her car, she opts to take a shower to cleanse the blood from her injuries. After preparing herself, she strategically covers her broken front door with a couch and uses her bike to travel to town. On her journey, she observes an overturned mail delivery truck. Brynn rushes toward the house and notices several patches of dead grass forming circles, similar to those in her yard. Upon reaching town, she heads to the police station, where she encounters Ma's parents. The mother expresses her anger by spitting at Brynn's face and storming out, while the father looks at her with disdain. The other officers also appear unwilling to assist her, prompting her to leave the station without reporting the incident. Attempting to unlock her bike chains, she experiences a panic attack that becomes so intense that she gathers herself beside a painted wall. Spotting a bus arriving, Brynn purchases a ticket and boards it, choosing to depart the town. As the bus travels through the neighborhood, passing by houses, the circles left by the aliens become visible in every single one. A man unexpectedly shifts to sit directly behind Brynn, catching her attention as she attempts to change seats. The man seizes her, revealing an alien creature inside his throat. In her attempt to escape, both the man and another infected woman chase after her. Witnessing the situation, the bus driver halts the bus, prompting Brynn to run while still being pursued. Eventually, she reaches a private property but halts upon hearing nearby screams. Continuing her sprint, she finds a church with locked doors. Observing the cemetery, she approaches and pauses in front of Maud's grave, who had passed away years ago. Suddenly, a massive cloud rolls in from above, prompting Brynn to flee, sensing an ominous presence. Back at her neighbor's house, she witnesses more infected individuals, including her crush, gazing upwards and extending their hands towards the cloud. They acknowledge Brynn's presence but do not pursue her as she flees. Finally returning home, she notices the dead alien emitting a strange liquid from its mouth. The trail leads outside towards a flower bed in her yard. As she investigates further, she notices ominous clouds gathering above her house, indicating the impending arrival of more aliens. She enters her home and illuminates candles, lanterns, and the fireplace to enhance visibility. She activates all stovetops and boils water pans for safety measures. Nailing down a blanket to cover the broken entrance, she notices lights from the alien craft circling her house. While moving about, she observes the telekinetic removal of the nails holding the blanket, followed by a beam of white light penetrating through the doorway. The light lifts the dead alien's body from the house as more lights scan her surroundings. Brynn rushes to the basement just as a small alien appears at her front doorway. She intends to escape through a hatch leading outside, but the white light once again penetrates, breaking down the hatch and compelling her to hide. While hiding, she witnesses another alien entering the basement and searching for her. Armed with scissors, Brynn hides under a table but is eventually discovered by the alien. Using telekinesis, it disarms her of the scissors and attempts to establish communication. It also takes away a framed picture featuring Ma, indicating interest in it. Brynn manages to flee upstairs, but the smaller alien locates her and launches an attack. In a bid for freedom, she bites it and retaliates by hurling pans of boiling water. As she runs, the white light permeates the house, causing the pan she's holding to adhere to the wall, seemingly pushed by the light. The small alien traverses through the light, appearing oddly calm afterward, adopting a peculiar stance and remaining still. Seizing the chance, Brynn enters a room and shuts the door, but the small alien reverts to a rampage, attempting to force its way through the door. Attempting to flee through the window, she is apprehended by the small alien, who grabs her ankle and pulls her back into the room. Using a mop to push it away, she breaks the mop in half and manages to stab the alien through its shoulder. Finally breaking free, Brynn escapes the house, only to encounter another alien with elongated arms and 4 long legs. The possessed man from earlier reappears and forcefully drags her by her hair toward the towering alien in the sky. Above, she notices a UFO approaching while the tall alien makes strange gestures, presumably attempting to communicate with the UFO. The possessed man pauses and looks up, but Brynn seizes the opportunity to release herself, shoving the man just as a white light descends from the UFO. The light immobilizes the man and hoists him into the sky before dropping him back down again. The UFO departs, leaving the tall alien bewildered, while the possessed man resumes his movements. Brynn flees, with the tall alien in pursuit. It clambers over her house, emitting cries from the roof, seemingly signaling for more alien reinforcements. Ironically, the tall alien slips and falls from the roof but quickly regains its footing to continue the chase. It becomes ensnared in her car, providing Brynn with an opportunity to ignite the leaking gasoline, causing an explosion. Despite Brynn's triumph at the wreckage, she is startled once again by the white light, which now pursues her even as she seeks refuge inside the house. She takes refuge in her room as the alien from the basement slowly opens the door and enters. It scans the room, searching for Brynn, while she reminisces about memories with Ma from their youth. Brynn attempts to approach the distracted alien from behind, but it swiftly pushes her away with a single finger, breaking through the room's wall. Crawling away, she escapes again, only to be met with a red light shining through a window, compelling her to freeze before being forcefully propelled towards the ceiling. As she falls back down, the light catches her midway and slams her back up. Brynn notices one of the aliens approaching, floating upwards to confront her. It emits a noise before convulsing and disgorging a smaller creature with numerous tentacles. This new entity drifts towards Brynn, who involuntarily opens her mouth, allowing the tentacled creature to enter. Suddenly, she awakens in her room, screaming, the prior events feeling like a mere nightmare. Regaining her composure, she stands and descends the stairs, finding her home seemingly untouched. A faint noise from the hallway prompts her to investigate, but instead of what she expected, she encounters the blurry figure of a woman murmuring, "Ma." As the figure comes into focus, Brynn collapses, recognizing an older version of Ma, her dear departed friend, overwhelmed with emotion. Brynn implores Ma's forgiveness before hastily reaching into her throat to extract the tentacled alien. Returning to reality, Brynn stands outside her house, holding the small alien, which wriggles free and disappears into the grass. As she searches for it, a UFO suddenly appears overhead. Emitting a yellow beam, the ship materializes a human form within the light as the small alien enters the mouth of the newly formed individual. Filled with dread, Brynn flees toward the nearby woods as the UFO ascends, joining many identical ships in the sky. Deep within the forest, Brynn encounters a replica of herself, birthed earlier by the alien. Frozen in disbelief, she fails to notice her twin's malicious intent until a blade pierces her side. Embracing, the doppelganger relentlessly stabs her, but in a desperate move, Brynn wrests the weapon away, fatally wounding her lookalike, who dies in her arms. Leaving the forest, Brynn encounters another tall alien before a white light beams down, transporting her to the UFO. Inside the dark craft, she is approached by multiple human-sized aliens. They point their fingers, and one touches her forehead, transporting her consciousness to a memory of her mother and her younger self crafting. Returning outside, she finds another memory frozen in time, of many policemen in front of her house. As Brynn stumbles and falls to the grass, she witnesses her younger self being pushed to the ground by Ma. Attempting to stop herself from grabbing a big rock, she fails as her past self strikes Ma's head, leading to her demise in an instant. Brynn finds herself sitting across a table from her younger self, who is writing a letter for Ma but is unable to continue as older Brynn starts to cry. Reaching out to her younger self, they are illuminated by a white light as they gaze at each other. Meanwhile, the aliens observe this scene from a distance, deliberating on what to do with her. After the UFO pulses, she is dropped back to Earth by the white light. As Brynn lies on the concrete road, she watches the UFOs flashing colorful lights in the night sky, laughing and seemingly finding peace in the madness. Later, the now much more confident Brynn prepares for her day and bikes toward her neighbor's house. She waves at her crush and the others, who are still under the aliens' influence. However, she appears to enjoy her altered neighbors as she dances with her crush in the town center, along with the other infected townspeople. The story ends with a shot of the UFOs flying across the skies above the town, seemingly having full control of the area. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next story.